Hi guys, this is what the dress looks like. It's so beautiful, isn't it? Hello everyone, how are you all doing? Welcome back to my channel. In today's class, we'll be learning how to make a built-up neckline princess dart dress with flounce, and trust me, it's going to be very beautiful. I'll be making use of this material here. I have 6 yards of it. Okay, so let's see how much we are going to make use of. So the length of the dress is 44 or 45 inches. Okay, so I want it to be a little below my knee. So my nape to my waist is 18 and a half. So plus half an inch to join it to the skirt, that will make it 19 inches. And the skirt should be around 26 or 26 and a half. So now let's get started. So you can grab this directly on your fabric, but I'm teaching, so I wouldn't have to do it on the paper. Good. So the first thing is this, the length of the bodice from the nape to the waist, which is 19 inches plus the half an inch to join it to the skirt, 19 inches all through. I even drew it all down so that I'll be able to use that for the back. Haven't done that, the next thing is the vertical measurement. First, the armhole measurement. So from the nape, my armhole measurement is 9.5. Going to the bust point, the highest part of the bust, that's 11.5. Under my bust is 15.5 inches, and then the waist, which is 19. The next thing you want to do is the 3 inches, 8 inches standard. I will put in the description box below how to draft the basic bodies and how to take accurate body measurement. Okay, so this is 3 inches. Measure 3 inches, mark a point. Then you measure 8 inches, you mark a point. Okay, and from that 8 inches you come down by 1 inch and mark a point. Then you connect with your ruler from this across this line all down. The next thing we now want to do is to insert the shoulder measurement. My shoulder measurement is 8.5, that is half of it. 17 divided by 2, that is 8.5 inches. But because of joining it to the sleeve, you will need half an inch to do that. So you add the half an inch to the 8.5 to make it 9 inches. So the next thing you want to do is to mark a point at 9 inches here, and then you come to the armhole also, you mark a point at 9 inches. The next thing is to connect it. The armhole is formed. And you see, so the next thing you want to do now is to form the armhole. Just come up by 2.5 inches. Okay, and then you can go in by 3/4 of an inch or half an inch. That's because of the contouring going around there. So I'll just do half an inch. Then you should have inserted your divided bust measurements. Okay, then the straighter parts, adjust your straight ruler. Okay, the armhole is formed. So the next thing I want to do now is my horizontal measurement. My bust divided by 4 is going to be 11.25. That is because my bust circumference is 45. So divided by 4 is going to give me 11.25. So you can add extra quarter in because of the lining so as to ease it up to make it 11.5. But it totally depends on your preference. Then I'll come to the waist. My waist is 39 divided by 4, that will be 9.75. So I'll just use my pencil to mark that because we are still going to get rid of that. Yes. Good. Now let the contouring start. So now I'll need my bust span measurements. That is distance from one nipple to the other. For me, it is 9 inches. Some 8.5, 9.5. Mine is 9 inches. Okay, so I'm going to divide that 9 inches into 2, which will give me 4.5. And because of seam allowance, to join it up, add extra half an into that to make it 5. If yours is 4, you make it 4.5. So mine is 5 inches. So I'll mark it on the bust point line here, come to the waist and do the same. The next thing for the dart, because my bust pan, if your bust pan is more than 8, on this center front part, just go in by 3/4 of an inch. 3/4. Then you come to the on the bust 3/4. But if yours is 8 or less than, just make use of 1/2 an inch. Okay. So once you've done that, let's make a straight line. Now, for the total dart to be taken off, if you are a small size person, just do 1 1/2. Okay. If you're a medium size person, 1 3/4 to 2 inches is okay. Plus size, 2 inches to 2 1/2 is fine. Okay. So for me, I can do from 2 inches. So I'll just make it 2 1/4. Although I can do 2 1/2 too. So 2 1/4 starting from the 3/4 inch. So this is 2 1/4, 2 1/4. So my dart is taken out. So the next thing you want to do is to come down here by 1 1/4 or 1 inch. So this is formed. Can you see we've successfully taken out that dart? So now for the armhole dart, all you have to do is, there are 2 ways. Either you measure your total armhole and then get the midpoint to connect the bust point, or you can just choose wherever you want your armhole dart to be. Yes, it's not constant. So for me, I just usually use the 2 1/2 inches. Okay, that's for me, but it depends on your preference. So you connect straight to the bust point. Good. So for the darts that should be taken out from here, if you're a small size person, 1/2 an inch on both sides, even 1/2 to medium, 1/2 an inch on both sides is just perfect. Okay. So for plus size, between 3/4 to 1 is okay. That on both sides. So for me, I'll just do 3/4 inch on both sides. The most important part is this on the bust. Trust me. So here I'll be doing 3/4 on both sides, 3/4 here, and then 3/4 here. So to take it to about 1 inch or 1 1/4 here. Then on this side, you extend it outward. Good. So this dart also has been taken in. Then blend this up. It looks better. Good. So now for this part, just take the measurement from here to the bust point. So here I have almost 6 1/2. So just turn it down here. So this is where it stops. So you can just add extra 1/4 of an inch so as to blend up perfectly. So that is it. So by the time you cut it and join it, it matches perfectly. So this is the dart taken off. Good. The next thing we have to do now is to add all the darts taken back to the side. So now let's just do it one after the other. So this is 2 1/4. Let's add 2 1/4. Then we will need 1/2 an inch because this will be separated. So you need 1/2 an inch on both sides to sew it up to join it together. So that is 1. Let's add the 1 inch. Then for the side seam allowance, you need 1 inch. So you add that too. So we have a total of 4 1/4. Yes, this is 2 1/4, then 2 inches. That's 2 1/4. Now coming to the bust area. The bust area, you will need 1 inch at the side, okay, for the side seam allowance. Then the 1 inch to join this dart created together. That is another 1 inch, making 2 inches. Here I took a total dart of 1 1/2. So I'll be adding the 1 1/2 to the 2 inches. That will make it what? That's 3 1/2. So I'm adding up a total of 3 1/2 inches. Hope that is well understood. And we are done. So the next thing is to go to the neckline. For the neckline, all you are just going to do is this. Let's talk about it. So here I have 3 inches. So because I'm a plus size, I can ease up the neckline by 1/4 of an inch to half an inch. Okay, so this is because you don't want it to choke you at the neckline. So between quarter to half an inch is fine. So for me, let me just do quarter of an inch. So from the 3 inches, that will be along the slope, just little. So 3/4 is here. So this is quarter of an inch. So now I haven't done that. You now see these 3 inches. I will make a straight line up. So I'll use my pencil. I don't want to have too many lines. So this is 3 inches here. And this is the initial 3 inches. I'll just mark up a straight line. Good. So this is the 1/4 inch I've eased it up by. So now the height of the collar, let me just make it 2.5. Between 2.25 to 2.5 is fine. Don't do more than 2.5 if you want it to be high. Because with this, I'm not cutting out. I'll be taking the seam allowance from it. So I think it is nice, or 2.25, whichever one. Okay, let's do 2.25. So I'm now going to measure 2.25 from that part. 2.25. So from that 2.25, I'm going to go in by half an inch. The reason for this is because you don't want the upper part to be wide, hanging out. So you want it to choke you up at the upper part, but being relaxed at the neckline. So once you've done that, from that half an inch, connect to that quarter of an inch you eased it up by. You can also do half an inch, but when you see it on me, you will decide whatever you want. But trust me to come out nice. So this is the front we are working up on. So you can see how I did that. This is the height of the 2.25. So the next thing now is to blend this part up. You don't just want it to be L form. So just little. So you can see how I did that. So that is what I want to have. So now the depth of the neckline now depends on your preference. For me, on the average, just do 8 inches. But for me, I want to make it 9 inches. Okay. So from that 3 inches, you could just take it and measure where 9 inches is here. So 9 inches is here. So I'll just take it here. So the next thing now is to now curve it out. I don't want this part to be open. I still want the collar to shoot out. So that is my own preference. So what I'll now do is to now take from this part. So somewhere around half here, I'll form the curve first. You can use pencil so that you can erase if you want. So I still want the collar to shoot out. So I'll take my time. So from there, I can use my straight ruler, but I still want it to shoot out. So I'll just look for ways to make the collar shoot out. So here I'll still make it shoot out a bit. That's my preference. I don't want it flat. You understand when you see it on me. Good. So I think I'm satisfied with this. Then I can use my marker. Good. Or the only thing I would do now is to add half an inch or just quarter of an inch. You don't want to, but just do half, then you can trim it off. So half an inch at this shoulder region, then we can trim it out. I've added half an inch at the shoulder, so that's what it looks like. So the last thing we want to do is to restructure our armhole. Don't forget that. You should have done that long ago. So this is it. Good. So these are new armhole. So cut the back off. So this is it. So this is what it looks like. So another thing I'm going to do now is to measure this neckline, not the seam allowance, the main neckline. Here I have 8 inches. So it's going to guide me at the back. It's time for us to cut out the back. So all I did is to just extend the line 19 inches just at the front here. So the armhole, which is 9.5, The next thing is the 3 inches. Remember, this is the zipper allowance. Okay, so 3 inches, 8 inches standard, then you come down by 1 inch, create this line, and then the shoulder measurement, which is 9 inches here, come here 9 inches to create this line. Then you form your armhole line with your divided bust measurement. Mine is 11¼ remember. So that is it. So now, to avoid zip bulge and your back coming lower, so what you will do now is from the actual 19, come up by 1 inch, 1 inch, make a straight line, and then we are cutting this off. So this is no longer there. So we are now having this actual one for the back. So for the darts, what you are going to do, or yeah, let's do the darts first. What you are going to do now is to put in half of your bust span. So half of the bust span is 4½ inches, which I'm just going to mark 4½. We are not cutting this off, so we'll maintain the 4½. So this will be used for the darts. So now for the back, to eliminate the zipper bulge and to make it flat at the back, we contour by ½ inch. So for that, you can just do that on the zipper allowance here, ½ inch, you go inward, and then here at about 1 inch or ½ inch above the armhole. Okay, yeah, that's here. So you connect it this way. So this is going off. Don't need it again. So now remeasure your zipper allowance, which is 1 inch. 1 inch. 1 inch. So now this is the real zipper allowance. So now let's quickly take the darts. Just ½ inch on both sides is fine. So you can even do 3/4, all well and good. Then here I'll come down by 1 inch and then connect your darts. So that is the dart. So the waist measurement is 9¾ So here now we have taken 1 inch for that. So you now add it to the 9¾ making 10¾ 1 inch for side seam allowance, that makes it 11¾ So you start your measurement from here now. 11¾ Good. So here I already have my 11¼ for the divided bust plus 1 inside seam allowance. You had that, and we are done with the back. So that is it. Now for the neckline. So we are still going to maintain that 3 inches. So I will use my pencil first. So let me extend this upward. So this is the zipper allowance. Good. So 3 inches. I'm using my pencil first. Okay, good. Then I'll relax the neckline by the 1/4 inch I did earlier on, which is here. Okay, then measure the 2¼ I did. I did 2¼ I guess, and from there I'll come in by ½ inch like I did here. Connect to the 1/4 inch. I hope you understood that. So remember I did 2¼ here. So here I'll be doing 1¾ so just 1 inch lower than the side here. So it won't, the discomfort will not be much at the back. Okay, so that is it. Then you sort of blend it up. Good. And then on this part is going to be straight. So the same measurement you took is what you'll be having here. So that is it. So relax this part too. So remember I measured 8 for the neckline at the back, so I'm going to do at the front. So I want to cross check if it's the same thing. Wow, it is exactly the same thing. So I'm going to go, so let me just add half an inch at this point and cut it out. So now this is what the pattern looks like. The last thing we are just going to do is, remember we reduced the back by 1 inch. We are going to do that to the side of the front, because when you place it this way, you will see the front is longer. That's because we reduced the back. And how do you go about that? Just measure 1 inch by the side and take it straight to this point. So now we can go over to the skirts. So now this is what it looks like. So you just cut it out with the lining. To cut the skirt, you can just do this on your fabric. Just fold your fabric over and then you get started. But I don't want a situation whereby some people say the chalk is not visible and all that. So here I measured 28 inches. Okay, 28 inches. And then here I have 1.5 inches because we'll have some of the material folded into the lining. So here I have 1.5 for that. So from here, waist down 28, but it's actually 26.5. Then we need half an inch to join this to the upper part. So that's why I made my hip 9.5 instead of 9. So I have 9.5 here. So the first thing for my waist is not going to have a that. My waist is 9 3/4, like we use at the upper part. So 9 3/4 from the center front, I'll mark plus 1 inch, that will make it 10 3/4. So this is it here. Now for the hip, my hip is 48 divided by 4, that will give me 12 inches. So 12 inches plus 1 inside seam allowance, that will make it 13. So that is it. Then the next thing you want to do is to come down by half an inch here. So you just connect from here downward. So this is going off. So for the lower part now, to make it tapered, you can do minimum of 1.5. I can even do up to 2 inches to make it taper so that it's going to be so fitted. Okay, and then since it's a bit longer than my knee, you really want it to be a bit tapered. So what I'll do now is, here I have 13, but on a normal day just remove 1.5, but I'll be removing 2. So if I remove 2 inches here, that will be 11. So I'll come here and mark 11 inches, and then I'm just going to connect straight. So I want to do something here I want you to see. So first I will use my pencil. I don't want too many to connect this way. Okay, so this is how it will be. So here, just come up about 3.5 inches. 3.5 inches here. Then you come in like half an inch or just quarter of an inch, just to make it a bit tapered. So now I can redraw using my marker. So this is optional, okay, please, it is totally optional. So can you see the way it is? So just kind of, just a little. So we are done with that. Then this goes straight down. So that's you can cut that out. This is what it looks like. Can you see? So this is the front. And now we go to the back. So for the back, you just fold over also. So the same measurement, which is 28, 1.5, then 9.5. So the same thing. So for the back, because of the bum, we need to do some contouring. So what do? Just come to the waist. You contour between 3/4 to 1 inch at the back. So let me just do 1 inch. So this is 1 inch. So the hip remain the same. You come to the hand, you do like 3/4 or 1 inch too. Then you connect it. Yeah. Good. So this is going off. Here you come down about 3 inches or 2.5 here, and then connect to the 1 inch. So this is going off. So looking at it, you see we have created the bum part. The first thing you want to do is to create the zipper allowance of 1 inch, 1 inch at the waist, 1 inch at the hip. So here you do 1 inch too, and then 1 inch here. So we now start our measurement from there. So good. Now the hip is 12, divided hip is 12 inches plus 1 inch side seam allowance, that makes it 13. Good. And at the waist is 9.75 plus 1 inch side seam allowance, that makes it 10.75. Now at the hem, remember the front we did 11. So you just measure 11 inches from the actual measurement here. 11 inches. Remember what I did, so I can connect with my pencil first. I don't want it to have too many lines, that's why I'm doing this. Then go up by 3.5 like we did, and at that 3.5 you go in by 1/4 or 1/2 inch. Make that straight. So that is it. So this is the zipper allowance, and then I'll cut it out. So this is straight. So this is what the back looks like. So you can do all this on your fabric, so you can see they match perfectly. So this is the zipper allowance. So I'm just going to cut it out with the lining. I cut everything out the same way on fold, both for the lining and the main fabric. After cutting it, I just folded in the 1.5 inches. That's for the seam allowance. Okay, so that's all I did, and I did that for the lining. So how did I cut the lining? Because we want to have 1 inch of this fabric on the inside. So since I folded in the 1.5 inches inside, then I just cut out my lining the same way, making sure the lining is 1/2 inch shorter than the folded hem. Remember, I folded it, so 1/2 inch shorter. So that's what I did. And how do I join it? I'll just make sure the wrong side are facing each other, or right side are facing each other. Then I'll just take the seam allowance this way, and I'm just going to sew 1/2 inch. By the time you sew in 1/2 inch and you iron it, you would have it this way. So that's how to sew for the front. So now let us go to the back. So the back, I cut it out the same way, and then I folded this 1.5 inches. It's just the same thing. So for the back, you have 2 pieces. That's because of the zipper, and then I folded in. So now what do you do? The first thing you have to do for the back, let me start with the main fabric. So first is you need to note how long you want your slits to be. So I will be doing about 9 inches. So that's from the folded end. So you make sure it's folded. So I'll be doing about 9 inch, but 7 is okay. But I want it to be like 8 inches to 9 inches. So you make a point at that part. Then wherever you want your zipper to stop, that's about 8 or 9 inches. 9 inches is okay. You make a point. Then you match it up together, right side facing each other. And then you sew from the zip opening down to the slit opening. So that's how you are going to do that. And you do the same thing for the lining before joining it at the hem. Okay. So now let's go to the bodice. This is for the back. Okay, I just cut out everything the same way, so both for the main fabric and the lining. Okay, then the next thing I did is just to use any type of interfacing. You could use air stay or the lightest one, but I don't like my fabric after sewing it, my dress, to be heavy, so I always go for the lightest interfacing. So I just use that to enhance the main fabric, and then here I just put along the neckline to make it rigid. So the same thing for the lining. So what I'm going to do here is to take in the darts, okay, for the back. So that is it. Now let's go to the front. So looking at it, I cut out the front the same way. So this was on fold. So looking at it, you can see the part of it. So it was on fold like this when I cut it all out. So can you see? So opening it up, this is what it looks like. Also the side, I cut that out, and also the lining. So this is what we have. So all you have to do is to pad the bustier. So there are different method of padding, so whichever one is okay for you, or you just sew it up and add backup. I will put some in the description box below. So this is what I did. So then I enhanced this with a thicker interfacing, because the collar by the time is going to open up, so I want something thicker. You can see from the inside how I did that before using either ST or any interfacing to enhance the whole fabric. So what do you do? The next thing is to just sew it up, match it up this way, right side facing each other. The first thing is the underbust has to match no matter what. Then you sew in 1/2 inch or through. So you're going to do the same thing to the lining. Guys, I have cut out all the fabrics and I use exactly 2 yards to cut the bodies and the skirts without the sleeve. Exactly 2 yards. So for the sleeve, it is just a puff sleeve, a short, very short puff sleeve. Okay, so I use less than 1/2 yard. Yes, so a little over 1/4 yard for that. So since we've done that, I have taken all the darts. So let me start with, okay, let's start with the front. So ironing is very, very important. You can see how the front looks like, so beautiful. So this is it, and I ironed it very well. So looking at it on the wrong side, you can see how I pressed open all the same. That's very important. Okay, so that is how to go about that. Even the lining, I did the same way. So I used the lightest interfacing around the neck region, so that it's going to stay very well. So what is the next thing to do? I will make sure right side are facing each other this way. Okay, so then you will be working with a lot of pins. So here now I'm going to start from the neckline. So this is the same allowance for the back. So from that point, I'm now going to sew in 1/2 inch. Let me turn it this way. Okay, good. So I'm now going to start from 1/2 inch here. That's here. 1/2 inch or just 1/4 inch straight down. Then you make your deep V and come back and stop here. So once you've done that, you are going to notch, because it is a curve area, so you are going to notch before turning. So that is it on the front side. Then on the back too, I have taken in all the darts. So even for the back, I did the same thing for the interfacing. So what you do is to make sure right side are facing each other. Okay, Yes, right side are facing each other. Then you're going to come to this upper part and just sew in 1/2 inch or 1/4 of an inch. Then you turn it back and iron before we join the shoulder. So now let's go to the skirt. So this is the skirt. So I've ironed and pinned it. So all I did is to join at the lower part. So can you see where I joined the 1/2 inch? So because I folded it initially, it's easier. Then you fold it back up, making sure everything matches, and then you give it a good press. Now for the back, as I've explained, remember I told you are going to leave the slit opening and then the zipper opening. So I now sew each other separately. So I sew the lining separately and then the main fabric separately. So this is it. So the first thing, I joined the main fabric. This is the zipper opening, the slit of 8 inches for me. Then I did the same thing to the lining. So after then, I now joined at the hem this way. So before I now bring it up and iron. So now, how do we finish this slit? It's very easy. Turn back to the wrong side. This way, can you see the way it is? You now see the folded part, on the right side is folded this way. So now fold it on the wrong side. So then you take the lining to the main fabric. Can you see the way I'm doing this? So once you take it at the fold, everything will match up. So you just continue this seam allowance here of 1 inch and then you sew it straight down separately. Then you come to this other side too. This part at the folded part on the Ankara fabric, fold it at that point, then you sew 1 inch to join the initial sewing. Then you will now bring it out to have your slits neatly done. So let's quickly do all that. I've sewn this part so you can see how it is now. So all I have to do now is to bring it out from this side. So usually I always sew along hemming glue with it so that by the time I press it, it's just neatly done. But still, even with this, I'm still going to do that. I just place my hemming glue. It makes it neater. So this is what you are going to have. Can you see? So let me bring out the other one too. This very one. So looking at it, I've bring out the edges. So this is what it will now look like. Can you see how neatly that is done? So when ironing, even without your hemming glue, but I usually put hemming glue in between to give it a good press. So this is what you will now have. Is now neatly done. So the next thing you are going to do on the skirt before we have it all coupled up is to make sure right side are facing each other this way, or left side, either of the two. So once it is this way, bring the lining, the main fabric, the lining. So you are going to start sewing. Remember, it is 1 inch we left by the side. So you pin down and then you now start 1 inch from here straight down to the lining till you get to the edge. Then you do the same thing to the other side, then bring it all out. Guys, I have joined all the panels together and they're all looking beautiful. So this is my sleeve. It's just a short sleeve puff sleeve. If you want, you can use your normal sleeve, any type of sleeve at all. Okay, so this is mine. So I've joined this. So looking at it, I've done the neckline. So I just joined this part and then I ironed it to give it a good press. So then this the front. So this is it, how beautiful it looks. Please, you need to iron. Your steam iron has to be working perfectly. So just give it a good press and it will come out this nice. You can see how beautiful that looks. So the next thing we are going to do now is to join the shoulders. So make sure right side are facing each other. So this is the neckline. This is it. So what I'll do now is to take the shoulder. So the tip of the neckline here and the tip of the neckline here has to match, and then you pin it down. So once you've matched it together at this point, so you take fabric to fabric. So you sew in half an inch or quarter of an inch, whatever seam allowance you left, to the lining to lining. So you take it from one edge of the shoulder to the other to become one. Then you do the same thing also to this side. And once you are done with that shoulder, come to this side. Take the main fabric together on the wrong side 1 inch, because that was what we left. The lining to 1 inch. That's how you join it to become one. So now let's talk on the skirts. So this is what the skirt looks like, and you can see how beautiful that is. Can you see on the wrong side? So that is it. And then on the inside here, so we only have this part open for the guys. I have joined the shoulders and the side, and this is looking beautiful. You can see the collar, shoulder region, and everything is fine. So let me show you the inside. This is how beautiful it looks. Everything well ironed. Look at the collar, so beautiful. And I don't know if I told you, at the back here, when you are sewing, you leave the 1 inch zipper allowance open. That's very essential because we are having a full closure. Okay, so the next thing you want to do now is to join the upper part of the skirts. So this is the skirts. Can you see? So the first thing is to join the main fabric to the main fabric, then the lining to the lining, which is very easy. With the crease, I know the center points. I'll match it together and pin it down. So first I'll pin it down at the center, then the side, then I'll start sewing all together. So once I sew up the main fabric, then I will attach the lining, starting from the zipper here, and then match it all around to become one. Okay, so once everything becomes one, you now have only the zipper part open, okay, here. So, and also the lining open. Then the next thing you want to do now is to fix the zipper. Please get a very long zipper, because you know it is a high neck. So I will now have to fix the zipper. So since this is open, it's going to be helpful. So I will fix the zipper only on the main fabric. Then I'll teach you how to finish up with the lining. Look at how beautiful the dress is. You can see everything is just on point, and I gave it a good press. So this is what it looks like. And remember, I only sewed the main fabric. Okay, so now opening it off, the next thing is to finish it on the inside. So this is what it looks like. This is the right side of the lining, right side of the fabric. So what we want to do now is this. You want to have this zipper now in between the lining and the main fabric. So just take it this way. And you know what I will advise you? Just pin it down like this. So it's going to help you when you bring everything out through the armhole. So you can see, you can come again and just pin it like this. So when you bring it out, it's going to be actual what you want. So you leave it that way. So you take this one also, okay, you put it in between, you bring it out this way, make sure the zipper is in between. It's something you can do. So what I would just advise is, if you are not really a pro, just put on your outfit now you are making for yourself and check if there's any adjustment. If there's any adjustment, you can still make it before this final closure. Okay, so just put it this way and pin it down, so that by the time we turn it out, it will help us a lot. So having done that, the next thing I will do now is to now go in through this armhole, because that's how we want to do it. That's what we want to do. So through this armhole, I'm going to bring out everything. You can see through the armhole. So I'm going to bring out everything. Okay. So I've brought everything all out. So it might look rough, but don't worry. So you know we've pinned it down, so that will be a guide for us to know what we want to do. So with that pin, just follow that pin. So this is my pin, so that means I'm sewing this way. So I'll now make sure I match. You can pin it all down, and you see this existing seam on the zipper, just take it all down. So while you pin it down, so because we have pinned it on the right side, so we know what we are doing, you don't get confused after turning it out this way, please. So just pin it down and do that. Trust me, it's something you can do. So this is it. And I'm just going to trace it all down and then sew it up. Then the other side too, I'm going to do the same thing. So looking at it, the first thing is I cross over the head of the zipper, and then I sew very close to the existing seam using my zipper foot. So, and then I stop at where the zipper ends, where I stop the zipper. So that is all. I did that to the other side. So when you are trying for the first time, you can do one side and bring it out from the armhole region, see how it looks, then you try again. Okay, there's no big deal at all. So what I'm going to do now is to cut off the what do you call it, the zipper. Then I'll do that for the other side too. I'm going to cut this too. So I'm going to bring everything out from the armhole. Make sure you bring everything out from the armhole, please. Okay. Be careful with your outfit. So can you see what we have? Very neat. So can you see? So you can see very neat on the inside and the outside. So can you see? So you can see how it looks. So I'm just going to go back to give it a good press, and then I'm going to attach the sleeve to it. Okay guys, I'm through with the dress and it looks so beautiful. Putting it on is just so wonderful. So I fixed the sleeve too. Okay, and looking at it is just so hot, and the finishing on the inside, you can see the zipper, everything is on point. So the last thing we just need to do is to fix the flounce. Okay, now the first thing I did is to mark the point where I want it to be. So with my chalk, I've designed that. Okay, and here we are going to be making use of a full circle. Okay, and it's going to be 720 degrees. Normally our full circle is 360 degrees, but for this we want it to be fuller, so we'll be using 720 degrees flare. And how do we achieve that? All you have to do is to take the measurement of the front and the back separately. So we'll be joining two full circles. So here I have 32 inches for this curve I have here. So 32 for the front, 32 for the back. Okay, now I'm going to cut a full circle for the front and a full circle for the back. So I'll just use the measurement of this 32 inches to cut two flares. So one for the front, one for the back. Now 32 inches divided by 6.28, that's what we use to divide our circle. 32 inches, you can add 1 inch for side seam allowance, but I'll leave it at that because eventually you have little being stretched out. So 32 divided by 6.28, which is standard for full circle. So that gives me 5.09. So that's like 5.1. So that is the radius to cut out my flare. Now for the length of the flare, how do you determine that? Just come to this side. This is the starting point, about 1 inch below the waist, and then you see how the length you want it to be. This is the length of the skirt. So how short? So I think 15 or 16 will do, the length of the flounce. So 15 or 16 is just fine. So let's say I'm using 15, so that will be for the length, that will be that 5.1 plus 15 inches. So that means the total length of the flare plus the radius will give me 20.1. Okay, so I'm going to fold two fabric now. So here now I've folded my fabric. So I folded two. So one will be for the front, one will be for the back. So let's work with one. Now all I did is to fold the fabric once. Since the total length length of the flounce and the radius is about 20.1 or 21, however you want it. So I measured 42 inches here, and then fold once. That's how you fold for full circle, then fold back this way. So after cutting the two, that is this and the other one, I have about 1 yard and little left from 6 yards. So when you are making this, make sure you get 6 yards of fabric. Yeah. or 5 if it's North African print fabric. Now let us get started. So the first thing I want to do is the radius, the 5.1 inches. So you're just going to keep rotating that. So the radius is formed. So that is the radius. Now for the length. So I think I concluded with 15 inches. So let me just make it 16 inches. So 16 inches, that's because of seam allowance. We are folding half at the lower part and sewing half at the upper part. So now 16 inches plus 5.1. So that should be 21.1. Okay. So you just mark it 21.1. And then I'll just rotate that all through. So I've marked all the markings. So this is the 5.1 and then the total length. So I did the same thing on the second one too. So I'm not going to cut it out. So I'm just going to pick one and slit it open. So can you see what we have? So this will be the one that will be on the front. So the next thing now is to join one of the openings. We are still going to join the other one too. So just join it straight down by 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to overlock it, both the upper part and the lower part. Then we can now come and fix it on the dress. I have sewn the flare and I have it just in one piece. So I joined it here and this other side. And another thing is I overlock the raw edges, even the lower part. Looking at it, I overlocked, then I then folded it in. So once I've done that, the next thing is to attach. I've also done the marking at the back too. Okay, so the next thing is to attach this way. Can you see? So when you are sewing, you can either use your sewing machine carefully or you untack it however you want. So this is the first joining here. So I'm going to put that here. Then I'm going to pin it down because you'll be sewing it this way. So you take your time when you're sewing. So I've pinned the first one here. So I will now have to go over it this way. So the other joining that I have here, I will have to tack that one here. So if you have excess anywhere, you can just split it. It won't be so obvious. So once I've secured this here and I've secured this here, so the next thing is to now pin it this way. So you put your hand in between here so that you can pin it all down. So let me just pin it. Guys, I've pinned it all down. So you can see even the back, I've pinned everything down this way. So the next thing is to now go to the sewing machine, open the zipper, and then you can now sew it 1/2 inch on the wrong side. You are sewing this way, then it falls the other way. So now let me just go and fix it and the dress is ready. Dress is ready and this looks just beautiful. The bustier, the sleeve, the neckline, the inside, the ruffles, the flounce is just so beautiful. Can you see how that looks? So on the inside, this is what it looks like. So that is it. The next thing is for me to put it on for you to see how it looks. So this is the back. So you can see the inside, everything is just as neat. So this is the slit underneath here. It's not touched. So let me just show you how it looks. So guys, this is what the dress looks like. You can see the outcome. It's so beautiful. So guys, you can see it's just so lovely. You can see the collar, what I was talking about, the collar. I really want it to come out so well. So you can see how beautiful it is. Can you see the flare? Yes. If this tutorial has been helpful, please give me a giant thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, okay? And please share. share. Okay, I remain your girl Bilikis. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Sewing Innovations and Bilikis Signatures, and on Instagram, Bilikis Signatures. Yes. Before I go, I'll turn the pack for you to see. I'm sure you love everything about the dress, the collar, everything. So bye guys.